Welcome back to Lakers News Fan Report, where we bring you the latest and most exciting sports news every single day. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now, because if you're a Lakers fan or just someone obsessed with the NBA drama and the chase for the championship, you're not going to want to miss a second of what's coming. And speaking of things you don't want to miss, today's story is one of those low-key developments that could quietly become one of the biggest twists in the Lakers season, if not their entire playoff push. Because while the headlines are all about LeBron James pushing back Father Time, or Anthony Davis trying to stay healthy at the right moment, or J.J. Redick figuring out the rotations in his first real playoff test as a head coach, there's a story developing just beneath the surface that's way more important than people are giving it credit for. I'm talking about the center position, that one spot on the court where, no matter how good the rest of your team is, if you don't have size, toughness, and versatility, you're going to get exposed. Right now, that's the Lakers' Achilles heel. We all love Jackson Hayes. He's athletic, he hustles, he can throw down a lob when LeBron or Delo feeds him in stride. But let's be honest. Hayes is not the kind of starting caliber center you want going up against Nikola Jokic in a playoff series. He's not the kind of defensive anchor who's going to intimidate anyone in the paint. He's a solid bench piece. That's what he is. And behind him, things don't get better. We're talking about G League guys on two-way contracts. Christian Coloco and Trey Jemison III, players who have promise, sure, but when you're trying to win an NBA championship, you need more than just promise. You need experience, reliability, and someone who can deliver under the brightest lights. That brings us to something that most fans probably forgot about, or maybe never even considered that seriously in the first place. But it might just be time to change that. Maxi Kleber. Remember that name? The 6 feet 10 inches, 240-pound big man who was a throw-in from the Mavericks in the Luka Doncic trade. The guy who hasn't played a single game in purple and gold yet because of a broken foot. Yeah, that Maxi Kleber. He's back. Well, almost. Kleber has officially been cleared for on-court activity. That means he's practicing again, running drills, getting shots up, testing that surgically repaired foot. It also means his long-awaited Lakers debut could be coming very soon. Maybe even before the regular season ends. And if that happens, it might change everything. Now, let's be clear, Kleber wasn't exactly lighting the world on fire before he went down. His shooting numbers were ugly, just 38.5% from the field and an ice-cold 26.5% from three. It's understandable why people stopped talking about him. But dig just a little deeper, and you'll see a player who's been through the wars before. A guy who's been in deep playoff runs with the Mavericks. Someone who knows how to defend, who understands spacing, who can hit open threes when he's in rhythm, and who, most importantly, brings something the Lakers don't currently have, a stretch big with playoff experience and the size to hold his own against opposing centers. So now, the million-dollar question becomes, is J.J. Redick actually going to give Maxi Kleber a shot? And if so, how soon? Here's where things get tricky. The Lakers only have 7 games left in the regular season, including a massive matchup against the Warriors. Every game counts. They're fighting for seeding, fighting to avoid the play-in if possible, and trying to build chemistry heading into what they hope is a deep playoff run. Can you really afford to experiment with a guy who hasn't played since January? Can you risk giving minutes to someone who might still be rusty, still learning the system, and still testing his own limits physically? But here's the flip side. Can you afford not to? Because if the Lakers go into the playoffs with their current rotation at center, it's hard to see how that ends well. You've got Anthony Davis doing everything, and I mean everything, on both ends of the floor, carrying the load defensively, rebounding, switching, rotating, contesting shots, and also being expected to score 25 points a night. That's just not sustainable. Not across an entire playoff series. Not against the likes of Jokic or Sabonis, or any of the elite bigs they might face. So imagine this scenario. Kleber comes back in time for the final few regular season games. Redick eases him in, maybe 10 minutes here, 12 minutes there. Let him find a rhythm, test out some small ball lineups where he plays the 5 and AD slides to the 4. Suddenly, you've got spacing. You've got floor balance. You've got a guy who can hit a corner 3 and then turn around and switch onto a wing player on defense without getting burned. That's the kind of flexibility that wins playoff games. Not in the highlight reels, but in the gritty possession-by-possession grind where every detail matters. And let's not forget, Kleber has done this before. Go back to 2022. when the Mavs made their surprise run to the Western Conference Finals. Kleber shot over 43% from three in the playoffs. He was guarding perimeter players, protecting the rim, and making clutch plays. That kind of veteran presence is gold, especially for a team that's still figuring out its identity under a new head coach. It's hard not to wonder, could this be one of those under-the-radar moves that ends up changing the whole picture? Could Kleber be this season's X factor? Fans are already speculating. Some are saying he's the perfect fit alongside AD. Others are more cautious, wondering if it's already too late to integrate someone who's been out for months. There's a real sense of uncertainty here, and that's what makes it so fascinating. There are no guarantees, but there is potential. And isn't that what the playoffs are all about? Taking a risk, betting on a guy with experience, trying to find that one combination, that one lineup that suddenly just clicks. Could Kleber be the missing piece that unlocks J.J. Redick's rotation? Could he help the Lakers stretch the floor, defend the pick and roll better, and take some pressure off AD? Or are we just setting ourselves up for another injury setback and more rotation chaos at the worst possible time? And think about the domino effect here. If Kleber can give the Lakers just enough at the 5, it allows AD to conserve energy, especially late in games. That, in turn, could make a massive difference in LeBron's usage, D'Angelo Russell's shot quality, and even Rui Hachimura's minutes. It's all connected. Basketball is a game of chain reactions, and sometimes all it takes is one reliable piece to make everything else click into place. It's also worth noting that Kleber has something a lot of players on this roster don't, an underdog's mentality. He was never supposed to be here. He wasn't a lottery pick. He wasn't hyped out of college. He had to fight for every minute, every contract, every ounce of recognition. That kind of hunger. It doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but it shows up when you need a stop with 2 minutes left in a playoff game. And don't underestimate what it means to be a smart defender. Kleber might not be the most athletic big out there, but his defensive IQ is off the charts. He rotates early. He reads pick and rolls like a guard. He doesn't bite on pump fakes. And most importantly, he communicates loudly. That alone can tighten up a defense that's been inconsistent and disorganized at times. We also have to remember how much of the game slows down in the playoffs. Every possession is more physical. Every cut is contested. Every shot is harder to come by. In that kind of environment, having a calm veteran presence like Kleber on a floor, someone who won't panic, won't rush, and won't make rookie mistakes, is incredibly valuable. Now, if you're skeptical, I hear you. There's always a risk when a player comes back late in the year. The pace is faster, the stakes are higher, and the margin for error is razor thin. But let's not forget what kind of system J.J. Redick is trying to implement. He wants spacing. He wants shooting. He wants versatility. Kleber checks all of those boxes, at least on paper. And speaking of paper, on the stat sheet, Kleber's numbers don't jump out. But if you watch the film, he passes the eye test. He makes the right reads. He slides his feet well on the perimeter. He boxes out, even if he doesn't always get the rebound himself. That's the kind of subtle impact that can decide a playoff game. Let's say Kleber plays and struggles. Worst case scenario? Redick benches him and goes back to the old rotation. But best case scenario? You've just unlocked a new version of this team. One that doesn't have to rely on AD playing 42 minutes a night. One that can match up with different looks, from big, bruising lineups to smaller, faster ones. And here's the kicker, the element of surprise. Opponents aren't scouting Kleber right now. They haven't game planned for him. That gives the Lakers a small tactical edge, and in a league where coaches will spend hours preparing for a single out-of-bounds play, any edge matters. It's also worth looking ahead. If Kleber shows even a glimpse of his old self, it could influence how the Lakers approach the offseason. Maybe he earns himself a spot in next year's plans. Maybe he becomes a trade piece. Or maybe, just maybe, he becomes part of a core group that makes a real run this year. And what about the locker room? Veterans notice effort. They notice guys who come back from injury and grind their way into shape without complaining. That kind of presence can be infectious, especially in a team that's still molding its identity under a rookie coach. Kleber doesn't need to say much. His actions speak for themselves. We also can't ignore the leadership component. Kleber has played alongside Luka Doncic in high-pressure games. He knows what it means to support a superstar without overshadowing him. That could be crucial in helping AD stay mentally locked in, especially during long, bruising series where every possession feels like a battle. In many ways, Kleber is a culture fit. Quiet, focused, professional. He doesn't bring drama. He brings solutions. And for a team like the Lakers, where the spotlight never turns off, having a low-maintenance, high-IQ player could be the stabilizing force they've been missing. One angle that's getting overlooked in all this? The chemistry factor. Kleber's style complements the core Lakers stars in subtle but meaningful ways. He doesn't need touches to be effective. He spaces the floor without demanding the ball. He gives AD room to operate. He opens up driving lanes for LeBron and takes pressure off the guards when facing pressure defenses. And if Redick wants to experiment with 5-out lineups, Kleber makes that possible. Imagine a closing group with LeBron, AD, Reeves, D'Lo, and Kleber, all of whom can shoot, pass, and switch defensively. That's a modern NBA lineup. That's how you survive against teams like the Nuggets or Clippers, who thrive on forcing mismatches and exploiting slow-footed bigs. Speaking of matchups, let's think big picture. If the Lakers make it out of the first round, they're likely to face one of the West elite frontcourts. That means more minutes for AD, more banging in the paint, more stress on an already injury-prone superstar. That's where Kleber could step in, take 8 to 10 minutes off AD's plate, and keep him fresh for crunch time. And here's the thing, the Lakers know their margin for error is razor thin. They don't have the depth of some other contenders. They can't afford injuries. They can't afford foul trouble. Every reliable player they can trust matters. So if Kleber shows even a sliver of his old self in these final regular season games, they might not have a choice. They'll need him. There's also something to be said for a fresh body this late in the season. Most of the league is banged up by now. Guys are carrying nagging injuries, playing through pain, losing their legs. Kleber, by contrast, is just now ramping up. His energy, his legs, his effort, they could all be peaking at exactly the right moment while others are fading. Think about the psychological effect, too. Opponents know the Lakers' weaknesses. They've seen the lack of rim protection when AD sits. They've watched Hayes get into foul trouble, seen the rotations break down. But insert Kleber, a player they haven't seen all year, and suddenly they're forced to adjust. That's a mental edge you can't measure, but it matters. Let's talk floor spacing. Everyone knows the Lakers' offense can stagnate when defenses pack the paint and dare them to shoot. Kleber is a career 35% shooter from deep, not elite, but good enough to punish sagging defenses. Just the threat of him being out there changes how defenses have to rotate. That opens up driving lanes, especially for LeBron and Reeves. And on the other end of the floor, Kleber might not be a traditional shot blocker, but he's a sneaky good rim deterrent. He contests shots without fouling. He forces tougher angles. He doesn't gamble. And when he's dialed in, he can even switch onto wings and guards for a possession or two, a skill that becomes crucial in the playoffs when teams hunt mismatches every trip down. Let's not kid ourselves, Kleber isn't a cure-all. He's not going to fix the Lakers' every flaw. But he doesn't have to. What he brings is balance. Balance to the rotation. Balance to the defensive coverages. Balance to a team that, at times, has looked chaotic and reactive instead of composed and deliberate. One underrated element here, Kleber's familiarity with playoff scouting. He knows what it's like to study tendencies, adjust on the fly, and execute game plans over a 7-game series. That kind of discipline isn't easy to teach, and it's even harder to find in players who haven't been through it before. And if Redick is still figuring out his own playoff coaching identity, having someone like Kleber out there, a guy who won't panic, who knows where to be, could actually help him settle into the role. Sometimes a stabilizing presence on the court helps calm the decision-making process on the sidelines too. Also, think of the ripple effects this could have on team morale. The Lakers have had a revolving door at the center position all year. If Kleber steps in and gives them one less thing to worry about, that could free up the rest of the roster mentally. No more trying to plug holes. No more last-minute patch jobs. Just a solid, dependable option that lets everyone play to their strengths. If there's one thing we've learned about playoff basketball, it's that depth wins. Not just talent, not just stars, but the quality of your 8th and 9th guys. The ones who come in, don't mess up, and give your stars a breather. Kleber has the resume and the mindset to be one of those guys. What do you think about all of this? Is Maxi Kleber worth the gamble this late in the season? Do you trust him enough to give him real playoff minutes? Or would you rather the Lakers play it safe and roll with what they've got? Personally, I'm intrigued. I think if there's even a chance that Kleber can give you 10 to 15 minutes of smart, solid basketball, and you don't have to sacrifice size or defense to do it, you take that chance. Because those margins matter. And in a postseason where every possession could be the difference between moving on and going home, I'd rather take the risk with a seasoned veteran than stick with a lineup that's already proven to have major holes. I can't wait to read your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know if you think Kleber's return is a game changer or just a footnote. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Lakers News Fan Report, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. We're going to be watching these next 7 games very closely, and if Kleber hits the court, you better believe we'll be here breaking it all down. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.